the George Floyd thing happened, cops were targets now. The guy looks right at me and just goes, boom! And I remember that split second when I had to pull that trigger. In my mind, I had to tell myself, this is it. Your whole life flashes right before your eyes. I kind of knew, growing up that, and my dad could tell you this now, he's like, you've always wanted to be a cop. Why not try to pursue that? And I'm like, yeah, but you don't know the process without finding out what the process is. A lot of people think like, like you see all these CSI shows and stuff, like I want to be a detective. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't just walk into a police department, fill out an application and say, hey, I want to be a detective. And that's not how it works. Yeah. I didn't know that, so.
You can't say I watch a lot of Law and Order. I know everything.
I know everything, right?
I'm ready.
Exactly.
Let's do this.
I'm your guy. I can solve any crime. But, it's, I didn't know this until I actually, found out what the actual process was. When a lot of sheriff's offices, they want you to start in the jail before, you go to the road, which is fine. And honestly, now that that's how I started, I think every cop should have to work corrections before they go to the road.
Right.
Because as much as, you think you're tough guy, whatever, I'm telling you right now, and I'm sure you can attest to this being on the other side, once that door shuts behind you and it's you and 75 other dudes, and they're looking at you like, I'm telling you right now, that was the most like shocking, come to life moment I've ever had. I'm like, okay, I gotta be tough. You know what I mean? And you don't have, tasers and all this. I think we only had OC spray. So anyway,
is that like pepper spray? What's OC?
Yeah, sorry, pepper spray. And I'm like, well, it's on now, So, but obviously, starting in corrections, I'm happy now that that's how it started. But I knew that ultimately, I wanted to be out on the road, actually, interacting with people and being able to help people. However, a lot of people that were working corrections with me had the same, ambition, and they were told, if you do a year in the jail or 2 years or whatever, we'll get you out on the road. Well, 5 years will go by, 7 years will go by.
Really?
And they're like hiring people from the outside and not within, and nothing against them. That's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles, I guess. But when I saw that there were people that I worked with that were having to wait that long, I was like, man, I don't want to be stuck here for 10 years.
It's depressing. Even if you're the CO, it's a depressing environment to be on.
You have, you're living with the inmates. They're your roommates. Yeah. And I worked there a little over 3 years, and it felt like 10. You age a lot in there, and you don't really see any future in it. It's like it's so redundant, so repetitive, and I was like, I gotta figure something out. So I was trying to put myself through the police academy while being a corrections officer, working night shift. So I would work 12 hours, go to the police academy. I would literally get off at 7, have to be at class at 9, and I'm there from 9 to 4. I can't sleep.
Right.
So I would get there like 7:30, 7:45, try to sleep in the parking lot for 45 minutes, and then jump into class. And I tried to do that for 9 months, and I couldn't do it. It just physically, I wasn't able to work out. I wasn't able to stay, you got to stay active. Mm. Ohio has a pretty strict physical standard for hiring. And I, for some reason, 30 scared the shit out of me. I was 29 at the time. I'm like, I don't know what it was. It was like my midlife crisis was coming at 30.
It's over at 30.
It is.
It's all over.
Single guy. You think about your life oh, 25, I'll be married and a couple kids. And, that wasn't happening for me. I was still single at 29 and I knew something had to change. And I just wasn't happy where I was. I didn't want to live in the small town I grew up in. I think it's great because everybody knows everybody. Mm-hmm. However, there's a lot of negativity that comes with that. Everybody's starting rumors about people and this and that, and that kind of got old. I wanted more. You know what I mean? I needed like a new scenery. So I had a cousin an aunt and uncle who live in Crystal River here in Florida. They had been here for 7-8 years. They were the only people I knew in Florida at the time. I didn't know a soul down here other than them. So I reached out. I said, hey, what do you think about me moving down there? They said, we think it's great. We have a condo that you could rent. Probably work out for you. I said, okay, I'll look into it. So I looked into it, found out that there was an academy close by if I wanted to continue, the police officer route. So I started to float the idea with my family. That was probably the hardest thing, was leaving my entire family. I was very close with my grandma and cousins and this and that, and it was very hard leaving all that behind for nothing, and just starting all over. But once I got that blessing from them, it was like, okay, I can do this now. So I ended up selling everything I had. I put in my 2 weeks at the sheriff's office. I thanked them for everything, and I rented a 16-foot box truck, pulled my motorcycle up there, trailered my car. I was gone. Came down to Florida, and for some reason when I got here, I was like, I wonder if there's anything else that I could do to be happy. Make good money. You talk to people that live down here in Florida. Like, I met a valet guy at a hotel on like Clearwater Beach, and he was like 45 years old. He's like, yeah, I put my kids through college doing this and this. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
$100 tips from all these rich people all day long. And he's like, I make like 150, 200,000 a year. I'm like, wow, it's crazy. So I'm thinking, I wonder, because, people don't become police officers to be rich.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that, they don't make a ton of money. It's a thankless job, whatever. However, if that's what you're happy doing, that's what you're happy doing. And I took like 6 months off and did some traveling and just trying to do a little soul searching to figure out is there something else I'd be happy doing? And nothing. I just couldn't figure anything else out. I'm like, okay, well, it's time to get back into it. So about 6 months later, I enrolled in the academy at the College of Central Florida in Ocala. Went through there. I was selected as the company commander, which is top of my class. I was very appreciative of that. I knew that would look good on my resume and would probably get me hired somewhere. And went through that. Everything was great. And one day, I was looking at the poster board, and they post like all the departments that were hiring all over Florida. And I saw Sarasota. I'm like, okay. And everybody said like, oh, they pay great. They make good money.
It's a bunch of old people.
Right.
They're quiet.
I'm like, well, I had been there a couple times because, when I was a kid, the Cincinnati Reds had spring training there. So we'd been down there, and I remembered it was awesome.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's beautiful.
Nice. It's beautiful. A lot of money.
A lot of money.
Retirees.
Exactly. And Longboat Keys right there in Anna Maria. I'm like, this is great. So I applied and, waited to hear back and this and that. So this is pretty wild. One of my instructors in the academy was a Ocala police officer. And she taught a lot of our courses. And she said, if you want to do a ride along with the department, just fill this out and blah, blah, blah. Because I was going to look at area departments too, because I was in Ocala at the time. I didn't want to be stuck in Ocala, but I knew I had to, take what was available to me. And if it was temporary, it was. So I filled out the ride along form, and probably a week later, she called and said, hey, you can come along for a ride along if you want. So I did. I met her at the department, and we went on a ride along that night. And, it was good because Florida laws are a little different than Ohio's. Like assault and battery are different. Like in Florida, assault is the verbal threat, and then battery is the physical threat. Well, up north, like in Ohio, assault is the physical threat. So just minor stuff like that. It was good to see, like, I'm a hands-on person, so it was good learning for me. So we go out, we're on a ride along, and we're just sitting at a light, and coincidentally, we had just talked in class probably 2-3 days before about illegal headlights. Mm. We see this green Dodge Ram coming, and it has lime green headlights. And I pointed out, I said, hey, that's illegal, right? She goes, sure is. Good job. Let's pull them over. Okay. So she gets behind this truck, pulls it over. It pulls into this old shitty motel, like Starlight Motel or some shit. Looked like something out of a horror movie. And, you have rules. Like they tell you, only get out of the car if I tell you you can. Just hang out, stay back, observe, from afar. Great. So she gets out of the car, walks up to this truck, and I'm about, 20 feet away. And I'm watching through the glass, and I hear her start yelling at this guy, and I see her, like, she didn't pull it out yet, but I see her reaching for her firearm. So I'm like, what is going on? So I crack the door a little bit just so I can hear it. And she's instructing this guy to step out of the car. He kept like reaching in the crevice of the seat for something. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Well, she opens the door to go to grab this guy. He gets out, grabs her vest, picks her up, and body slams her on the concrete. Knocks her out.
Holy shit.
So now...
She didn't fire on him?
She didn't even get the chance to. Like, as soon as she went to open the door, her left hand's occupied on the door. Her right hand, she went to grab the guy, like by his arm to pull him out. He just hops out and physically grabbed her shirt and body slammed her. Now I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? So I'm standing there and I yell.
You get out of the vehicle.
I had the door open already. So I want to say I grabbed the radio first. Right. And I said, officer down. I didn't know what their codes were or anything. I just said, officer down. And when I slammed my door, he must have thought like, oh, there's another cop. He runs.
Have you ever heard of a data broker? They're people that collect your information and sell it online. Things like what websites you visit, what you search for, and even where you go. They take all that information, build a profile about you, and sell it to a company that wants to send you ads. They're not selling a product, they're selling you, but you don't have to let them. There's a way to keep your browsing history truly private, and I use it every day. It's an app called ExpressVPN. It hides my IP address, which means data brokers can't follow me or figure out where I am. It also encrypts everything I do online. So if I'm on hotel Wi-Fi or coffee shop hotspot, nobody can snoop on me. And it works on all of my devices. Phone, laptop, tablet, just one tap and I'm covered. Right now, plans start at just $3.49 a month. That's about 12 cents a day. So protect yourself like I do. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/ITC. That's EXPRESSVPN.com expressvpn.com/ITC to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months. expressvpn.com/ITC. He doesn't get in the car and run. He just runs.
He went to get back in his truck, but when I slammed the door on the cruiser, he ran. So he's literally running from the truck around the side of this motel. I go up to her. She's like gasping, trying to get her. She got the wind knocked out of her.
Yeah.
Instinct. I chase the guy. I have no radio. I have no gun. I don't know what I'm doing. It just kind of all happened. And, it's the sun's going down, starting to get dark. And we go around the side of this building, and there's this like little dip down, and there was like a row of bushes. I lose sight of the guy. I get down at the bottom of the hill, and I happen to look over where these bushes were, and I saw a white flat bill hat, like forward, peek up above the bushes. And it was him. Mind you, it's dark. All I could see was the light shining on this hat. He can't tell what I'm wearing, what I have, nothing. So I said, get on the fucking ground.
Right.
He hops out of the bushes, gets flat on his stomach, and put his arms out. I have no handcuffs. I have nothing. I'm in the police academy. I don't know what I'm doing.
So you pull out your wallet, hold your wallet. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. He doesn't have a clue. He wouldn't have a clue. He'd think you would have a weapon.
But he couldn't see me because it was so dark. So he gets out, lays on his stomach. I run up. I get on his back, and I put his hands behind his back, and I hold him there. By this time, I hear the sirens, and the whole fleet's coming. And I'm yelling, over here, over here. So they come over. I think the K-9 got there first. They get this guy detained, take him. He had it's been 10 years since this happened, but he had pounds of meth, and there was an AK-47 in his truck.
Whoa.
So I'm thinking to myself.
Here's what's the funny thing. If he's just give me the license, like she's not going to search his truck. She's going to give you a ticket for these stupid fucking headlights.
Convicted felon. Truck full of meth.
Yeah.
AK-47. This guy's thinking, I can't even risk it. I got to get out of here. That's my guess. Yeah. But that happened. And I'm like dumbfounded, like at what happened. And her supervisor gets there, starts lighting my ass up, like, starts yelling this and that. I said, I apologize because, you write, you signed a form.
Yeah.
I'm now a liability to the department. I get it. However, I'm thinking in my mind, like, he's going to kill her.
Come in on Monday.
Well, right. And
don't ever do that again. So come in on Monday and fill out your paperwork.
Yeah. The chief and the deputy chief came to my police academy the next week. I was offered a job on the spot.
Right.
And I said, listen, I greatly appreciate it. I just don't want to live in Ocala. I didn't move to Florida.
Well, you're a picky fucker. What are you talking about? You just got this that's a great entry into I'm the man.
Trust me.
There's a new sheriff in town, fellas.
Listen, I didn't shut it down, but I told them that's not my first choice. But if I don't get hired anywhere else, I would love to, because it's a great department. It is. I had met the chief, deputy chief, great guys. And I would have been excited to work there. A lot of the people in the academy that I'm still friends with, they work there, and I'm jealous at, the careers that they've been able to have versus what I have had up to this point, but that's here nor there. Anyway, so that happened, went through the academy, and I ended up getting hired by my department, Sarasota. So I was given a hire date. It was July 2018. I graduated top of my class. I was given a Director's Leadership Award. I didn't know any of this was coming. It was great. It looked great on my resume, so I was really thankful for it. Things just were starting to fall into place for me, and I was really happy. So I ended up taking the job and moving to Sarasota, mind you, I didn't know anybody down here. Didn't know a soul other than, my cousins in Crystal River, but that's 2.5, 3 hours away. So I started 2018, you go through the process, you start field training and, you just go through the ranks. So
I'm sorry, did I miss something? How did you get to the job in did they come to you in
Sarasota?
Yeah, in Sarasota. Did you say that you
remember the job board?
Oh, okay.
I had initially filled out an application.
Sorry, you just suddenly said I took the job, and I thought, did he fill something out?
Yeah,
I missed that. Go ahead.
I filled out the application. It's a long process. Even if I filled out an application today at a local department, by the time they're done with the background and you got to do a polygraph and physical tests and all this stuff, it's probably 6 to 9 months minimum. So that's about how long it took. And thankfully they were able to combine a lot of that stuff. So I didn't have to make a million trips down to do it. However, I took the job and, they were a great paying department. I heard all these good things, like they have great training and the best equipment and this and that. And I moved down there and I think, man, this place is even more beautiful than I remember. It's paradise. Like, I can't believe I'm going to get paid to work here. And I always knew that this was what I wanted to be doing. And I wanted to help people and be there for people, be that, that help that people couldn't have to help themselves. So went through field training. Everything was great. I ended up getting on the emergency response team, which was a big deal for me. It's like SWAT, but not SWAT. We don't go on like warrant searches and stuff like that. You're basically there for it's civil unrest, riots, missing persons, any kind of crazy stuff like that. We did a lot of homicide searches for like articles and guns that people threw or whatever. But we got to train with the sheriff's office once a month, and it was awesome. And actually, in 2000, I think it was 19 or 20. I think it was 20 when, I don't know if you remember the case, Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie.
Yeah.
So Brian lived in Northport, and that's where him and Gabby lived with his mom, that's in my county where I worked. So one night we're doing active shooter training. We're at the Sarasota Mall at UTC, and Macy's let us use their the mall for active shooter training at night, like after hours. It was really good training. So it was our night training. I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. All of our phones start ding, 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 ding. We're like, whoa, we're getting paged. We look at the page and it said, missing person, Brian Laundrie. Mm-hmm. We're like, what the hell? So our sergeant comes in, says, hey, obviously you guys have seen this stuff on the news. They think he's back in Northport. He's missing. We're going to be activated for this. I said, okay. So starting the next morning, we literally were sent home immediately. We got a few hours of sleep. We had to be at the Carlton Preserve down in Northport at like 7 in the morning. This is a 25,000 square mile preserve where people go hiking, camping. Brian lived there. I mean, him and Gabby were living that life, right? The
kind of nomads.
Yeah. We got the Sprinter van. We're turning it into a camper, that type of deal. So Brian, he was in that preserve all the time. So he knew it, left, right, top, bottom. I had never been there. A lot of us hadn't. We knew about it, but had never actually been inside of it. So we met with the FBI. They were heading the whole thing because it was cross state lines. Northport Police, the sheriff's office, everybody. I mean, we had Lee County came up to help. We had everybody around that was trying to come help, drones and stuff like that. So
this is after his girlfriend had been murdered.
Well, they didn't know yet.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say, is this after like he had come back and then he like kind of like escaped, like his?
So he had come back. The van came back.
Right.
Then, if you remember, his mom, piece of shit. She said she was I guess she was an attorney or something, but she held back information.
Right.
She knew everything.
Right.
Even to this day, she knew all of it.
Right.
Right. Brian came back alone.
Yeah.
Where's Gabby?
And he wasn't really talking.
None of them were.
Right.
There was no information. So at this time, we now have 2 missing persons.
Right.
That's it. Brian was reported missing. His mom reported him missing, saying he left the house, even though Northport was sitting on his house.
Yeah.
How he got away, I don't know. I'm assuming it was his mother's car because that's what was found at the preserve. Maybe they thought it was his mom. I don't know.
Well, he could have gotten in the trunk or something.
Exactly.
And she backs out, drives away when she's clear.
Exactly.
They swap out or something. Who knows?
Yeah, but he was able to slip away.
Right.
And, we're in this preserve from 7 a.m. to 6, 7 at night. I mean, it's long. It's middle of July, hotter than hell. We're out there. I'm getting eaten up by mosquitoes and snakes and gators that are out there. It was nuts. So we're out there for 3-4 days, and I happened to find a shoe. We were out doing our grid search, and I found a shoe. So I take a picture of it, send it back to the command post. We're miles away from, where the command post is, which is where FBI, everybody's at. And, I sent a picture. I said, hey, I found a shoe. I don't know if it's his. So I had to sit on that shoe for like 6 hours waiting for, they had to go to his house, figure out what size his foot was, figure out if he owned that style of boot, this and that. And I'm just out here, I'm dying. So while I'm out there, I get an alert on my phone that says Gabby Petito's body has been found.
Mm.
And I'm like, whoa, boys, this is a big deal because this is now going from a missing person to a murder suspect.
Right.
So now we have to arm up, rifle up. Now we're not just looking for a missing person. It's turned into a murder suspect. So anyway, we're out there for 3, 4, or 5 days. It was grueling, 13, 14-hour days, insane. And they actually called off the search. And I think it wasn't until maybe a week later they sent some of the cadaver dogs out, and they were able to locate his backpack.
Oh, his back? Okay.
His remains were there too. Sorry, he had like a backpack, a letter that he wrote, and I think they found the pistol that he used, and then obviously the wildlife, took over the rest. But that was a wild.
Was the shoe his?
Don't know.
Oh, okay.
Don't know. We collected it. That was given to the FBI, and then I don't know. It's crazy because I'm a 10.5, and I think that's the size that he was. So they were literally like, "Well, put your foot up next to it and take a picture." I'm like, But anyway, it was an honor to even be a part of something like that, and it was a big deal. It was a huge case. Obviously, nationwide, worldwide, and they did Netflix special on it.
And this was the lady or like the couple that like they went to Colorado and like the girlfriend went missing, and then
they had her on video camera footage of.
And what was the boyfriend's reasoning? They were in a fight, or what? What was the letter? Like I don't.
So there was actually a body cam video of them two getting stopped.
Yeah.
Because somebody had witnessed them get into an altercation in a parking lot.
Yeah. And she had physically been violent towards him.
Yes. And she took the fault of all of it. So they both had marks. Yeah. It's not, I want to say that was in Arizona.
Somewhere. But they separated them. They actually separated them.
They did. Which a lot of people are critiquing them for that.
What else are we going to do?
Even if you take him to jail, he's going to get out in 24 hours.
Yeah, she's going to,
They still separated them. I think they made the right decision. they couldn't find
People
an
are
aggressor.
desperate to blame someone. They're desperate to find somebody to blame. And sometimes it's just life, man. These are humans.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. It was one of those situations. So I think they found her body. It was in the Grand Tetons, which is wild because the only reason they found her was because a YouTuber was going through their footage and had a dash cam of them driving through a trail, and they spotted, he was going through like hours and hours and hours of footage, and he spotted her van, or Brian's van, whatever, sitting right there, and off in the distance you could see a person walking. Hours of footage. Like, they would have never found that had they not gone back and edited their footage.
Right.
So that was how they pinpointed exactly where the van was. Then they went to search there. That's when they found her body. So that was crazy. It was great to be a part of it. And then the George Floyd thing happened. You're never gonna meet a cop that supports what happened to that. Any good cop, they'll be the first to tell you it's a sad situation. It shouldn't have happened. It sucks. However, to group every cop into that bad cop,
right?
I'm telling you, that just ruined law enforcement. It wasn't, cops were targets now. This used to be an honorable profession. I used to look up to like the DARE officers we had in school and the school resource officers. We loved them. People had respect for them. That respect was gone after that. All the time. I can remember one incident. I was talking to a boyfriend and girlfriend who were yelling at each other. I used to work downtown Sarasota a lot. There's bars down there. And I remember, I was trying to get the story, and I had this like pink-haired girl come up, and she was like tapping on my shoulder going, "Excuse me, officer, excuse me." And I'm talking to this girl trying to get her story, and I said, "Hold on one second. Yes, can I help you?" She just said, "I just wanted to let you know that all cops are bastards," and walked away. And I'm like, what the fuck? What was that?
Right.
And now I'm like, what is going on? But this was happening like every day. I'd just be sitting there. People, would ride their bikes by and just flip us off. Like, it's just the culture was changing. It was people just hated cops now from one incident, you know? So obviously, things started to become a little more tense, this and that. So I'll get to my incident. This was February 6th of 2021.
How long had you been a police officer at this point?
At this point, I had been there for 4 years. And, if you include my correction stuff, I started in 2014. So 7 years at this point. And it was like any other day, normal day. I was on my way to work. I have a routine. I go to the fuel pumps, gas up my cruiser, make sure I got gas for the night. I was a field training officer at the time. I did not have a recruit that night. It was just me. So I went to fill my gas tank, and usually I'd run to like Starbucks and, grab a coffee, and that's going to be my fuel for the night because I was still on night shift. And it was like 6:30 at night. And usually when you have like crazy stuff pop off, it's like quiet, eerily quiet, and like at some point like something's gonna pop off. You just didn't know what. So I'm literally leaving the fuel pumps. I'm on my way to Starbucks to get a coffee, and the emergency tone goes off on the radio. And if you don't know what the emergency tone is, it's like a real loud pew, pew, and it gets your arms, your hair stands up on your arm because something's coming in that's hot. So Call comes in, dispatch, they were saying there was a few callers, which is usually when there's more than one 911 caller, it's real.
Right.
You know, let's face it, a lot of calls are bullshit, especially when it's like, oh, I heard a couple gunshots. It was usually not gunshots. It was something else. But in this incident, the area that they gave was the first, you know, kind of light bulb that went off. I'm like, oh, that's not a high crime area. It's a nicer area. There's a lot of nice homes, Airbnb, stuff like that. I'm like, okay. Then the information starts coming in, and dispatch is saying we're receiving calls that a male is chasing a female down the street and fired off some shots. We don't know if, you know, I'm thinking in my head, like, I don't know if he's shooting at her, he's shooting in the air, shooting at someone else. You don't know any of this.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that, you know, is a big misconception. The information that is coming in from dispatch is information that is coming from Joe Blow.
Right.
You have to take that with a grain of salt. When people are under stress, when people are in these incidents, a lot of times they will buff stuff up, you know, to make it sound, and I'm not saying that was happening in this case, but we have to process all this,
right,
all while I'm driving 100 mile an hour trying to get there.
Right.
You know, as soon as they gave the location, I'm like, holy shit, I'm 2.5 blocks away. So I knew I was probably going to be the first one there. So it was like 2 or 3 blocks from Sarasota High School. I'm like, shit, you know, this is probably pretty serious. So I was given an intersection. I wasn't given an exact numerical of a house. So thankfully, I knew my geography pretty well. I was like, okay, if that's at this intersection, I don't want to come down that direction. I'm going to come in from another direction. So I came in and I parked my cruiser probably, I don't know, a quarter mile from where the intersection was, because they were saying they were running down the street. I don't know where the hell these people are.
Right.
You know, I'm just given an intersection. This was also, you know, by the time the call comes in, by the time I get it and I actually respond, it could be 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how far can you run in 5 minutes? I have no idea where these people are. So I parked my cruiser and I got out of my cruiser, and I didn't want to fumble with my rifle rack and get my rifle out. I just was going to roll with my handgun. Like, okay. So I start running down the street and I have my gun drawn. I tell dispatch, I'm on scene. I'm trying to find them. Do you have any updated information? Nothing's coming in yet. As I'm running down the street, off to my, you know, whatever direction that was, northeast, I look over and I see a older gentleman pop out from a big tree. And he sees me running and he pops out and he points me. He didn't want to announce himself,
Mm-hmm.
but he pointed me where this guy was, or where I guess he was pointing me to where they were. So I literally halt in my tracks. Thank God he did that, and you'll find out why in a second. When I halt in my tracks, I see a Jeep, a vehicle in a driveway, and I'm running down the street, and I get to the front of the Jeep. I have my gun. I'm at like my low ready here, and I peek around the Jeep, and I can see a pit bull, a woman, like dirty blonde, probably in her 40s or 50s, and a male. They're just standing on a porch. Now, as I'm coming up to this car, I can hear a woman screaming for help. And I'm only assuming that this is that woman.
Right.
And I get to the front of the car, and the first thing that comes out of my mouth, I just said, "Let me see your hands." I don't know what this guy's, all I can see is his like left shoulder, a little bit of his chest, and his left hand, but I can't see his right hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he's got a gun or not. I don't know if this is even the right group of people. Soon as I said, "Let me see your hands," the guy looks right at me. I'm probably 25 feet away, 30 feet away. He looks right at me and just goes, boom, boom. Shoots the dog right in the head.
Aww.
I'm talking this was within a second. I didn't even know his gun was out, first of all. He didn't draw it. It was already out.
Right.
He shoots the dog and shot her right in the face.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, right after the first shot went off, she like tried to move, but he literally turned the gun and shot her right under her left eye.
She drops? She's done?
Yeah. And as this happens, I don't even have the time to draw. I mean, my gun's already out, right?
Yeah.
So right as those shots are going off, I'm literally drawing on this guy, and I just start firing. I shot 7 times. I hit him twice. My first shot, the ME said that the shot went through his left aorta, hit his right clavicle, and then lodged in his lung. So
he's done.
It was a deadly shot.
Yeah.
The second shot hit him in the leg. All 3 are down on the patio. I can hear sirens. People are rolling up. As my final shot is going off, 2 other cruisers are pulling up in the direction of my gunfire. But thankfully, my rounds were caught either by him or the house.
Okay.
It was right at the corner of the front of the house. So thankfully, none of them were hit. You know, they come up, and we formed a team, walked up there, and they're clearly, all of them are deceased.
Right.
The dog is dead. The back of her head is like blown out. I mean, she's done. And then his eyes are just wide open. I knew they were all done.
Right.
So, you know, we tell dispatch, you know, we got 3 down, no officers are hurt. And then everything starts unfolding at that point. You know, they shut it all down, did their investigation. I was assigned another officer who was a union member to basically, you know, tell me what the process is. You know, you got to go on admin leave now. You have to give a statement. You got to see a psych doctor, this and that.
Is all of this on body camera?
So, unfortunately, we had body cameras coming, but I didn't have it yet.
Okay.
However, it was under a Arlo home surveillance system. They were standing right underneath of it.
Okay.
When this happened. So it is on video. It was not that, you know, I knew I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Criminally or whatever. I followed policy. I guess I think it was like 6 or 7 minutes, this guy was holding a gun to her head. And he was telling her, we're meeting God today. And this had all unfolded over like an alleged he was cheating or something. The guy really didn't have a criminal record. Oddly enough, and I didn't find this out till like 6 months later, another officer that I worked with, he sent me a text and he said, dude, you are not going to believe this. Me and you were at their house a year ago. And I'm like, what? So I get on my computer, I pull up the call, and this is like, it's eerie, like to this day, but I actually handled that gun in my own hands that he killed her with a year prior. He didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, it was just a call.
It was just a call. He passed out drunk in his car in her driveway. They got into an argument. She didn't want him to stay at the house that night. There were no threats made, nothing like that. So when we got there, he was, you know, passed out in the truck on the passenger side.
Mm-hmm. So he can't get a DUI.
Exactly. So I come in on the driver's side and I shine my flashlight in. I saw a Glock, you know, sitting in the crevice of the seat. So I just grabbed it to hold on to it until we completed the call. nothing happened. He was, he was good. We got him in an Uber, sent him off. She's like, how do I, get a restraining order in the snap? Told her the process, just like any other domestic, right? But it was just wild that I had handled that gun that he killed her with like a year prior. Just insane. So after this happened, I started to go through the process. They let you know you're on paid leave until, we have to do our investigation. They do a criminal investigation first. Then they do the IA, make sure that, policies followed and this and that. And I think this took about 3 or 4 months. And finally I was cleared. So mind you, you have to see a psych doctor within 72 hours of the incident happening. And you do a walkthrough of the scene. That was recorded. So basically telling them what you did and how you responded and why you did what you did, blah, blah, blah. I can't, no two people that go through something like that are going to react the same. And initially, I knew in my head I did what I was supposed to do, and I'm good, right? I kind of knew like things were going to change a little bit, especially at work, because, and they'll tell you, my doctor told me this, and I was mind blown. The percentage of officers that actually have to discharge their firearm in a 30-year career,
almost never.
It's like 3%,
right?
Which is insane. And you it's one of those situations like you're prepared for it, or you want to be prepared for it, but you always think like it's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to happen to me, right? But it did. And I knew that things were going to change professionally, like at work. When I got cleared to go back, I was a little more paranoid. I was constantly looking over my shoulder. I was worried about, after the whole George Floyd thing happened, people were leaving law enforcement agencies in droves.
Right.
Everybody's retiring early. They're leaving. They're not happy, So our department felt that just like every other one. And, you're now forced to do the work of 4 or 5 other people because you don't have enough people to
handle the calls.
Exactly. Right. When we were fully staffed. We had probably, we could have 25 cops, out on the streets. Mm-hmm. When this happened, you might have 10. And you're now going to, I could go to 15, 20 calls in one night, writing reports, taking people to jail, and no 2 calls are the same. You might go from a noise complaint at a kid's 5-year-old birthday party to a guy that just slit somebody's throat. And, the up and down, and you have to wear, so many hats, like doing this job. You never know how you're going to respond. And again, like, nobody forced me to be a cop.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to do, I've always wanted to do it. It was a dream of mine, and nothing's going to take that away. However, I didn't ask for certain things to happen the way that they did. They just happen. And nobody knows how they're going to respond to this stuff. Well, we started to get, more and more calls coming in, and you're just stressed out all the time. And I'm like so paranoid. I don't know who's going to pull a gun next. Is grandma on a traffic stop on the way to church? She gonna pull a gun out on me?
Right.
I don't know. My trust was going down. Even, cops were getting killed and sitting in restaurants eating lunch. Cops are getting killed at stoplights. Even today, just 2-3 days ago, a deputy down in, I think it was Broward or Miami somewhere. He responded to a crash, just a fender bender, and got shot and killed. He got ambushed on a crash. What the fuck?
Right.
You know, this shit's still going on today. So, you know, time's going on. My job's getting a lot more stressful. And there was a second incident. It was probably 3:00 in the morning, and we get another gunshot call. We go to probably 5 or 6 gunshot calls a week, if not more, maybe 10.
When you say we, you don't mean you as an officer, just in general.
It may be more than that. You get gunshot calls all the time.
I'm saying like the average officer probably goes to one. How often do you? Or is there a gunshot? Everybody comes.
Oh, yeah. If there's a gunshot call, usually everybody's like rolling that direction until it's either debunked or it's serious, right? Because it doesn't matter where you're at, where your zone is. If something like that comes out, people start creeping that way, right? So it was like 3:00 in the morning, and this call comes out. It's actually in my zone. It was near an apartment building in Sarasota, and it wasn't in the apartment complex, but it's basically inner city. Right. So there's rows and rows of houses, right? So the call came in saying that somebody is firing off gunshots outside. That's all we had. However, they did give us an address. So they give us the address. Everybody gets there. I think I was one of the more senior officers on my shift, and I may have been the only one that had a rifle that night. Tactically, you know, you obviously can have more distance with a rifle. You want somebody that has a rifle in a situation like that. So I grabbed my rifle and I set up across the street. And I laid prone like in the grass, and I'm literally aimed right at the front door, right? And I'm just there for cover, waiting to see what happens. So we had information saying that it may be a male suspect, and he may have fired the shots off in his backyard. So we set up a perimeter on the house, and I'm in my position, and we set up a contact team, which whenever you have a situation like that, you want to have your like hostage negotiators make announcements. So they would basically pull a car up, and they would get on a PA system and make announcements for people to exit the house. Because when you have, information that gunshots are going off, we don't have information that someone's hurt, so we're not going to gain entry to the house unless we have that information. So anyway, the contact team, they're setting up, and they start making announcements. And the front door opens. A female starts to exit the house. And I think it was a teenager, like a 13-year-old, maybe teenager. Her and the teenager exit the house. Well, when they exit the house, we found out that it was her, I want to say, boyfriend who had been firing the shots off. Well, out of nowhere, we just hear bop, 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 probably 10 shots. And it's loud. And I'm like, everybody's hitting the deck. We don't know if if he's shooting at us, where it's coming from.
You don't even know if he's in the. Do you even know if he's in the house?
We have no idea.
He could be in a neighbor's house shooting at the cops.
He could be on the roof shooting down at me. We just heard the shots, and I knew by how loud they were close.
Okay.
So I'm like, damn, this is. We got to find this guy, right? So I move over. I'm now like, there's a vehicle on the street, and I'm prone right in front of it. So I have as much cover as I can get while I still have direction on the front door. And I'm literally looking through my scope at this front door, making sure that this guy's not going to come out and try to shoot the contact team or whatever. So they start making more announcements. I guess the female told them that it was her boyfriend or husband or whatever. and I see the guy enter the doorway. He's wearing blue jeans and no shirt. So they're making announcements saying, come
Sorry,
out.
I was thinking the uniform of white trash.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I'm like...
Standard uniform.
It's like something off the Trailer Park Boys.
Right.
Like, you know, I'm like, okay. So this guy enters the doorway. They're making announcements. Come out, hands up, and they're going to tell him to, like, spin around, make sure there's nothing in his waistband. So this guy starts to walk out. His right hand is behind him. All we can see is his left hand. So I'm looking at this through my scope on my rifle, and I'm like, this is great, you know? So I'm telling myself in my mind, I may have to lay this guy out.
Right.
So they start making the announcements, and they're yelling, show us your hand, show us your hand. He's not showing his hand.
He wants to be shot.
That's what I'm thinking at this point. And I had already been through this once.
Right.
And I'm thinking in my head, like, fuck, this is less than a year. We're talking like 6 months.
How bad is it? Well, first of all, how bad is this going to look? Whether they're justified shots or not, statistically, it's going to look bad.
You just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Because that's all I could think about was, what is it going to look like if I get into a second shooting in less than 6 months and I have to kill another guy?
And I was going to say, society's just ready to crucify another fucking cop.
Exactly. The narrative, it was just not looking good. So I'm trying to remind myself, like, I didn't do anything wrong the first time. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do everything by the book here. But this guy is exiting this house, and he is getting closer and closer to the contact team. They have guns. Mm-hmm. However, they're taking cover behind a car, and I have a clear shot on this guy. So the guy is slowly and slowly coming out. I still can't see his other hand, and my safety's off. My finger is literally in the trigger guard, and I'm touching the trigger. And I'm like, dude, if this guy takes another 2 steps, I'm going to have to put him down. He took like one more step, and I shit you not, I'm on, the trigger's moving, mm-hmm. and he drops down on his stomach. And I'm like,
does he have a gun? Did he have a gun behind his back?
He didn't speak English. He was holding his fucking jeans up because he didn't have a belt on like this.
Oh, he's brilliant. Okay.
And then that's when I started to, I'm like, holy fuck. If I'd have killed this guy, he's unarmed.
Right.
Doesn't speak English. And I just fucking whacked him for what? I'd have been in prison.
Right.
That rattled me so fucking bad. I remember we cleared that call, and I was on my way home that night, and I was like, I was shaking, holding the steering wheel. And I remember texting a buddy that I worked with, and I said, dude, something's not right. That completely fucked me up, dude. I mean, something's bad. I got to figure something out. And, you know, nothing against him. It's like any friend would, you know, hey, let's grab a beer, let's talk, mm-hmm. whatever. I get it. It's not like he could have done anything for me. But that changed me. But I didn't know what to do after that. So I already knew that my work life had changed, and I was a lot more paranoid at work. But when I started to realize that my personal life was taking effect, I didn't have I was single. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I would look forward to my off days, and, you know, we work 12 hours. So mm-hmm. I would always have either a short week or a long week. So I'd either have a Wednesday, Thursday off, or Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I would look forward to those days off, And then once those days off would come, I wouldn't even walk outside. I wouldn't check my mail. I wouldn't do anything. I didn't want to see anybody. I was so paranoid at this point. I just didn't want to interact with people. So it's tough to, you know, it's a big deal, you know, and I don't want to say that I was going to commit suicide, but I was in such a dark place. I knew that was probably the only thing left, and I knew that it was coming to that. And sorry, it's kind of tough to talk about that, but I had to do something, you know, and they're always pushing, you know, EAP, and there's help out there if you need it, and speak up. Well, you know, like I said, my upbringing, we don't bitch about stuff. You know,
But isn't that also kind of most cops in general? Like they don't, they also, if you actually look into it, or start to talk about it, the other cops kind of frown on it because they're supposed to be tough guys, and you don't discuss it. And yeah, it's kind of like window dressing. Like that's for the public to know that we have options stuff, but we don't take advantage of that. We don't go talk to a shrink. That's ridiculous. Like
right.
man up, rub some dirt in it.
That's how I was raised, but that's also the stigma with cops. Like, you don't want to be that guy. And I didn't want to be that guy.
Right. Well, you know, the Suffering podcast, right? Like Kevin, we talked
about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, the guy that used to be on the Suffering podcast with him.
Is that Mike?
Yeah.
The bald guy.
Right.
Yeah.
They both went through shootings.
Yep.
They both retired because they were having, you know, horrific thoughts of, you know, harming themselves.
Yeah.
They started the podcast to try and help people because it gave them kind of a purpose, and they realized it was a major issue that was looked down on. And Mike still ended up committing suicide. Right. The bald guy, right? Yeah.
Oh,
you didn't know he committed suicide?
No.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
We interviewed them. They came to the studio. I interviewed both of them.
That's the video that I watched, but I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. No.
He's not. He died?
One day.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, one day. Yeah, that's kind of why I thought you would have reached out. One, multiple reasons to reach out to them, obviously, right? Like this is part of a big part of what their whole podcast is about, right?
Right.
But secondly, this guy seemed perfect. Like he was laughing and joking, and they're busting balls, and they're having fun, and they're texting, and you know, afterwards we're texting each other, and we're communicating and everything. And I think I want to say maybe it was a year after that. One day I find out that like literally, like Kevin had talked to him like the day before or something like that, and he went home and everything was great, and went home and just committed.
Jesus, I didn't know that. I did not.
That's why I assumed you had reached out to him because of, and this is after he's retired. Like you know what I'm saying? Like this is, and they talk about how it's a you know, it's an ongoing thing. Like, you know, and that, you know, there's no real, not that sometimes there's just no signs. And you see those videos on TikTok and the reels and shit where it's like, this is what someone looks like the day before they commit suicide. And then the guy's laughing and playing with his kids, and, you know, throwing the ball with his son, and just everything's wonderful and just having a great old time. And the next day, woke up, decided this is it. It's fucked up.
I think of like Robin Williams.
Exactly. Yeah. And you look at it and you think you have the world. That's why everybody, you have the world by the balls, and everybody's always like, money, 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 money. And it's like, really? Because I know a bunch of millionaires, I personally know, that are miserable.
Yeah.
And I know guys that are middle-class guys that are not chasing the dollar and are the happiest people. You know, like money doesn't solve everything. It just doesn't.
Yeah. All money does is maybe ease your hardships.
Right.
But
you still have problems.
Mentally, these demons that these people have, man, it's, you know, having been through some shit like this, I never thought I'd ever consider it, you know, but again, you know, that stigma, it kind of outweighed, like, because I tried to push on as long as I could, and I'm like, I gotta say something. I'm fucked up. So I did. I took advantage of the EAP, and, you know, looking back on it now, that exactly what you just said, like, everybody started to slowly pull back from me. You know, I used to have shift parties at my house, Christmas parties, all kinds of, we'd always do things as groups. People stopped texting me. People would avoid coming around me. Administration, like higher ups, we don't want to say anything to this guy, you know, like, he's the crazy guy now, you know what I mean? And I felt that effect, and I'm like, man, this is just unbelievable, because none of these people know what the fuck I just went through, you know what I mean? None. So like we said, you know, the percentage of people that actually, or officers actually have to discharge a firearm in a 30-year career is like 3%. I don't know how many cops there are in the country, but it's in the 100,000s, maybe in the millions. There's a lot of fucking cops, you know? Unfortunately, it happened to me. So I start going through the process. I had to see a psych doctor. It was assigned to me through workman's comp. It's not like I got to go on Google and research this stuff. Not that that would help. You're not going to know if a doctor is good or not unless you actually go and see him, right? So I go to this doctor, and I knew, like, right off the bat, like, this guy was not. It's like I was talking to a wall. Like, there was no compassion, no empathy. It's like the whole time he's just, you know, kind of jotting, not paying attention. And this is the first time that I'm getting this shit off my chest. So I'm pretty vulnerable, like, in this position. I'm unleashing shit that I've never unleashed before. And I've never done this in my life, you know, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, like, what's going to come of this? What's going to happen to me, you know? So I'm telling my story, this and that, and I knew he wasn't paying attention. And then at the end, he's like, well, I got this pill and this pill and this pill. Let's put you on the. I'm like, whoa. No, you know, I've seen all these horror stories about these cops or anybody who's gone through shit like this. And what happens? They get addicted to the shit.
Right.
And their lives get worse. They go down in the dumps. They ended up, you know, committing suicide or overdosing. So I'm like, all due respect, I would rather not take medication if I don't have to.
Right.
You know, can we see how this goes? Sure. A couple weeks later, I go see him again. Same thing. Trying to, like, push pills down my throat. I'm like, okay, this is not helping me at all. So I call my workman's comp attorney. I said, listen, this doctor doesn't give a shit. We need to figure something out. She says, well, you are afforded a one-time change, and we can set you up with another doctor. I said, please. So she gets a list. There's like 3 doctors. We picked the closest one because I didn't want to have to drive to, like, you know, the Panhandle to see a doctor. So we picked this doctor, and he was kind of close by. and had a lot better experience. I'm like, great, this guy understands. I'm able to talk to him. He actually responds to the shit I'm saying. And he didn't think that medication was, I was diagnosed PTSD and depression and this and that. So I was in a dark place, man. And they have medication for like anxiety and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what is a pill? Let's say I take a pill and I go back to work. How's that going to help me make a decision like whether to pull the trigger or not if I get in another deadly force situation? That's not, and that's what I'm telling myself in the back of my head. So anyway, I start seeing this doctor. Things are a lot better, going a lot better. And I'm seeing him and also a therapist at the same time. So I'm seeing the psych doctor in person, and the therapist is like virtually, like FaceTime, like once a month. So ultimately, my physician makes the decision. You probably shouldn't return back as a police officer because of what you went through and how you're responding. I don't think it's a good idea. And I'm thinking, my life's over. Oh, what now? Because obviously that was my dream.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I always wanted to do. That's what I want to do. But now I'm being told that I can't do it. Okay. So now I'm like, what now? So I tell my attorney what's going on. She says that, well, the only option at this point is for you to file for line of duty disability pension. I said, okay, how do I do that? Call the union, see if they'll get you an attorney. You'll have to go from there. Okay. So I call the union, who, mind you, I've paid thousands of dollars into this union for union dues for 7-8 years now. This attorney tells me on the phone, sorry, can't help you. I said, well, wait a minute. It says on the website, any client who is involved in a case stemming from an on-duty incident, be it criminal or civil, shall be,
covered.
Covered,
Yeah,
right.
represented.
So I'm like, well, I paid all this money into this for what? Like, you guys were there for the actual shooting. Why aren't you going to help me through the rest of the process? What am I supposed to do? So they literally said, best of luck. Sorry, can't help you. Awesome. So now I'm at risk of losing my job because I was being put on light duty. They took my gun away. I could only do like paperwork type shit. Right. So I literally had to Google pension attorney, and I found the closest one, and I called, and everything sounded great on the phone. Yeah, my husband's a police officer, blah, blah, blah. I would love to take your case. We'll get you through this. Perfect. Had to pay, a retainer, this and that, out of pocket, because the union's not going to help. Mm-hmm. So I'm now paying out of pocket, and I'm fighting for my own case for a work incident. This happened at work, obviously. So we go through the process, and this took probably 6 months. Mind you, I'm getting a paycheck at this point at work, and I'm on light duty. So I was doing like red light camera stuff, like admin stuff at work. Can't drive a marked car. I can't carry my gun. I can't do actual patrol work. I can only do like admin stuff until all this is figured out. That's fine. At least I'm getting a paycheck. I had to take a little bit of a pay cut because I'm not on night shift.
If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above, that's where GhostBed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, GhostBed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every Ghost Bed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips, or a firm option with exceptional support, your Ghost Bed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a Ghost Bed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which Ghost Bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use code Cox at the checkout.
You know, I'm not on ERT, and I'm not a field training officer anymore. It was a pretty big pay cut, but I'm still getting paid nonetheless. So probably 4 or 5 months goes by, and we have our first hearing. It's in front of a pension board. It's made up of 5 members and an attorney. 3 of the members are, I believe, like city council members, and 2 of them are officers at my department. One is a captain and one is a sergeant. I don't have much of a relationship with the 2. However, you know, I don't know how they view me. I mean, I don't know. They may not like me for my fucking haircut, for all I know. I don't know. So I had only seen them in passing or maybe on a call or 2, whatever. So we go to the hearing, and, you know, my attorney is telling me, like, your case is a slam dunk. We have, you know, 2 or 3 physicians now. They're all in agreement. You're good to go. Okay. So we sit down, and I'm expecting it to go smoothly, and the board is absolutely roasting me, like questioning everything that I've been through, what I've done up to this point. They had someone go on my Facebook and screenshot pictures of, like, me holding my niece at a Christmas event. One was, I think I was at a Bengals game, because I was back in Cincy visiting family, and every year my dad buys us tickets to the Bengals game. So we always go up there for a game in December, and as a family, and it's like our, you know, our bonding, whatever. And I'm thinking in my head, like, what is going on here? Like,
Why is this relevant?
Exactly. And apparently this stemmed from me telling the first doctor, the pill pusher,
Right,
that I tend to avoid large crowds. That's true.
right.
I don't purposely go to, like, parades and, you know, marathons and where bombings and terrorist attacks happen. A lot of cops don't go to that kind of shit.
Right.
I'm one of them. So they took that as, oh, well, he's at a Bengals game. That's a large crowd.
Right.
He's at Tropicana Field for the...
You didn't say you were incapable. You said you just tend to avoid them.
Exactly.
But I kind of have to go to these family functions.
This is a Christmas gift from my dad. We're at Tropicana Field. I wouldn't even consider that a large crowd. You're walking through the lights and stuff. There's cops everywhere. I'm like, this is how it's going to be. Like, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, not only am I, you know, I've already lost a bunch of friends because nobody wants to talk to me now. Been there for 8 years. People that I used to hang out with every day and every weekend have, you know, basically just told me to go fuck myself. However, now somebody went on my fucking Facebook that I was a friend with because my page was private, and screenshotted all these pictures and gave it to either the sergeant or the captain.
Right.
I'm like, motherfucker, dude. Like, why? You know? So I just felt backstabbed at this point. I just could not believe that I was going through this. So I left one part out, and I apologize. During the process, when I was seeing my two doctors, the board hired their own doctor to get his opinion, which is common.
Okay.
So I did see their doctor. He was basically in agreement with my doctors. However, he stated, I don't think he should be an officer right now, but I can't say for medical certainty that he could never be one again. I'm not a doctor, but I think any doctor would say that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that seems you're right. You never know.
It's not like I
you can't predict the
lost
future.
my arm.
Right.
And they can say, oh, he'll never shoot a gun again. You know what I mean? This is a little different. But, you know, PTSD is included in the statute now for physical work injury if it happens on duty. So basically the board was hung on, they're like, oh, okay, well, because he didn't fully agree with everyone else, that's what we're going to lean on. And they basically said, we're going to continue this hearing for a second hearing. We would like you, because the first doctor said he wanted you to take medication. Mm-hmm. We would like you to try medication. And then they wanted me to try they called it a desensitization technique, and do a ride-along.
Okay.
Or ride-alongs to try to get me back in the environment and see how I would react.
But you'd been in the environment for 6 months
Correct.
prior to this. Okay.
Correct. And they left that out. I don't think they never realized that.
Okay.
So I'm thinking this is where my attorney should be saying, like,
right.
Hello.
Yeah.
But that wasn't done. So I, again, felt like I'm fighting for my own life here. So in addition to that, I want you to picture being a police officer, driving a marked car, having a full getup, duty belt, police or gun, badge, everything. Then suddenly all that is taken from you. You have to continue going to work, seeing your coworkers and all the people there. You're still a cop, but you're not allowed to be a cop.
Right.
What is that doing mentally to me? Like, I already felt bad enough that I had to come forward and try to get help, but now it's like I'm holding a sign. I'm a poser now.
Right.
So psychologically, that was fucking me up, because off duty, I'm always paranoid. I don't go anywhere without a gun, period. If I can't take a gun somewhere, I'm extremely paranoid. Or if I forget it, I'm thinking in my head like, oh, this is the day. Something's going to happen and I'm not going to be ready for it. You know what I mean? Because I'm always on alert. Not that I wasn't before, but I'm even more on alert now than I've ever been. So they said, we'll come back in whatever, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and we'll have another hearing after you try these techniques, whatever. So go to my doctor, tell my doctor, this is what they want. I'm willing to try the medication. I don't think the ride-along thing's a good idea. Here's why. You're going to put me in a patrol car with another officer that I work with. Mind you, I told you what happened in Ocala when I was just a civilian in a ride-along. I've already been there. This shit's happened once. Now I've been in a shooting. Things are heightened now. You want me to ride along in a car for a shift while they respond to calls, and you want me to just sit in the car?
Right.
In a city that I've patrolled for the last 8 years?
I think that's a no-win situation, because if another situation comes where they need aid and you aid them, now you're in trouble for it.
Exactly.
And if they need aid and you don't aid them, now you're in trouble for it.
Yes.
It's like you're just putting me into a lose-lose situation.
Exactly. So, mind you, when I drive through that city now, it's not this beautiful place that it was before. There's almost not a single building or location that I drive by that I don't associate with an incident.
Right.
Because I've worked there for so long and I've seen so much shit happen. That's all you think about. You know, there's restaurants there where a cook had a heart attack and died in the kitchen. I can't go there and just get a fucking sandwich without thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always going to be on alert, and you want me to just ride around with no gun, no equipment, no nothing. And I mean, I can sit at home and watch cops.
Right.
There's no difference.
You're in a better position if you're sitting at home watching cops, because
I'm not there.
It's not a lose-lose situation. You're not set up for failure sitting on your own couch.
Exactly. So go to my doctor. My doctor says, again, I'm not putting you on medication because I don't think there's any medication you need. Mm-hmm. I said, okay. They're asking that I try medication because the first guy, that's all he was doing was trying to shove pills down my throat.
Right.
Coincidentally, I find out this guy left his practice, opened a pharmacy.
Okay.
Weird. It's funny how that works. So, anyway, my doctor's like, I agree. You shouldn't do the ride-alongs, and I'm not putting you on medication, period. So, this went back to the board. We had the second and ultimate hearing, and we get to the hearing, same as the first one. I just got roasted by the board. Oh, well, we've all been through our traumas and this, that, just belittling everything that I've been through. And I'm like, and that came from a member who has never even been a cop. Okay. That was a city council member. I'm like, okay, bud, whatever. So the board denied me. That's it. We walk out. I am irate at this point, and I'm just dumbfounded. I don't know what I'm going to do at this point. So my attorney says, you're allowed to appeal. We're going to start the appeal process. How long does that take? I don't know. I'm Googling, asking people. Could take years. Mm-hmm. So it's now been 6 months. This happened, that hearing was in May. The next day after the hearing, I go to work. I get told, hey, HR is here. They want to talk to you. I'm like, okay, this can't be good. We sit down. The HR director has a letter, slides it over to me. Now, I was thinking in my head, if this day ever came, from what research I've done, they have to offer me another position or something. Nope. Hands me a piece of paper. You're being let go. This is your last day. Best of luck to you.
For what reason?
They said, so I wasn't terminated, but I was being laid off.
Are you guys still short-staffed?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
and not just that, but the unit that I was in on light duty, we were busy. Like, you can ask the guys that are in that unit now, if I wasn't there, they wouldn't have been able to function for the last 2 years. I mean, I did a lot of work in that unit, right? So, no warning, no advancement, no nothing. Last day, best of luck to you. That's it. I'm like, holy shit. What am I going to do now? thankfully, I have a girlfriend at this point, and I can tell you, with absolute certainty, we got engaged probably a month or two ago, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. She is my purpose. She has been my rock through this entire process. We actually met on a homicide. She was a deputy for the county, and I actually went to a call at a shooting, and she was on scene, and that was our first time meeting, but ultimately we got together, and she's literally saved my life up to this point. And I knew that if somebody is going to stick by my side through this shit, she's got to be the one. You know what I mean? I always wondered how you knew, like how you would know. That's how I knew. And yeah, she saved my life, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today. But this appeal process could take 2 years, 3 years, who knows? I mean, I'm assuming they're just going to string this along as long as they want to, because they're hoping that I'll just give up, or the inevitable.
Right.
Probably off myself.
So just to clarify, they let you go and you don't have any sort of benefits, right? Like all that's been denied?
Nothing. So I was told that my insurance would lapse after like 3 weeks or a month. And if I wanted to, I could go on Cobra or something.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so yeah, I was
With
losing
what
my
income?
benefits. No income.
Right.
And how am I going to pay Cobra without an income?
Right.
So no paycheck, no benefits, no nothing. And I'm wondering, like, what am I going to do now? So this was in May. We are now in November. I think I have submitted over 100 applications and have not landed a job yet. Insane.
What are these jobs for?
So,
Are you putting the police department as a recommendation?
I have to because my professional background is law enforcement.
Right.
And I don't have a degree.
Right.
So I unfortunately didn't finish school. And a lot of, it's not like the old days where you can just walk into a business and say, hey, can I fill out an application?
Right.
And you do that. It's all online now.
Yeah.
It's AI generated and screened. So if your requirements don't meet the requirements for the job, a person doesn't even see your application anymore. That's what I'm being told.
Right.
So out of all these applications, I'm not even getting through to a person. And, it's unfortunate that my entire background is law enforcement and I don't have a degree. Well, I mean, I'm applying to anything and everything at this point, but, thankfully I have my fiance, but you can't survive on one income anymore. Right. I've had to sell every asset that I worked my ass off for. I was a single 34, 35-year-old guy. I'm making great money. I was working details and making extra money. I think I made like 90 grand last year. I was like, I invested in gold and silver, and I bought a Harley and this and that and paid cash for it. And I had a buddy of mine who was a watch guy. He was like, dude, if you go buy a Rolex, it's an investment. I'm like, okay. I didn't know. So I went to Mayors, bought a Rolex, and great. So if I hadn't have done those things, I would, like, up to this point, I've had to sell everything that I own just to stay afloat. And now, like, that well is dry.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I just, every day I wake up and I'm like, how in the hell am I in this position? What did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? What did I do? And, I tell my doctor this all the time. So, dude, I don't understand. He's like, you're not supposed to understand. This isn't normal. This isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
It's the system. It's unfortunate. Life is unfair. And I know that. But I did everything right. Or so I thought I did. I did my job.
Right.
You know, not many people go through this. And the shitty part is you can't help but think like, and I know that there's people that probably think this about me, like especially people that I thought were my friends. They're probably always finessing the system, trying to get money out of it. We don't make a lot of money as it is. You know what I mean? If it was about money for me, I would go do something making a lot more money.
What is the retirement? I mean, if they had given you a stress disability retirement or whatever, like what is that going to be? That's not your. Is that?
It's a percentage of what you made.
Right. It's not like you're fucking hitting the big time. Like, oh, it's $1 million payday. They're going to pay me $500,000 a year. I'm going to be set for life.
Nope. It's a percentage of what your final pay was, which wasn't much. If I had to guess, it might be, I don't know, a few $1,000 a month.
Right.
Where does that get you today?
Right.
It's not a lot of money. So it's unfortunate because I know that that's how people probably look at it. But to those people, I would say like, walk a mile in my shoes and tell me if things don't change.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Tell me if your mindset doesn't change.
Well, on the Suffering podcast, they interview with nothing but guys that have gone through something similar to this.
Well, I actually saw, the Sean Ryan show. Love that guy. I saw an episode. I don't know how recent it was, but I saw there was a combat vet on there, and he was talking about this like out of body experience that he had when he went through a shooting. And I'm listening to him tell this story, and I'm like, damn, like I knew by him telling it, like he wasn't lying because I went through that. And I will never forget that split second when your finger is on that trigger. You can shoot targets all day long.
Mm-hmm.
All day. I mean, all day long. You point a gun at someone and you now have to take that person's life. Your job is to neutralize that threat until that threat is no more. Obviously, you're probably going to take this person's life. And I remember that split second when I had to pull that trigger. In my mind, I had to tell myself, this is it. And when they say out of body experience, your whole life flashes right before your eyes. You think of everything. I don't know how it's possible because it's such a short amount of time. I thought of like everything I had been through to that point. I thought of what was going to happen afterwards. You can't help but think, am I okay to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I had a lot of good training in ERT and this and that, and I was able to respond because I don't know. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the toughest guy in the world, but a lesser person may not have been able to respond that way. And the part that tears me apart to this day is I didn't get into this job. No cop gets into this job to kill people. People that say that, that's bullshit.
Right.
People that say that don't understand the sacrifice that you have to make to even get hired. The shit you go through in the academy, the shit you go through in training, literally putting your life on the line for complete strangers. I didn't get in this job to kill people.
Right.
I got in this job to help people. And the part that rips me in half is remembering hearing that woman screaming for help, and I wasn't able to help her. Because all I can think about is, should I have taken a different route? Should I have shot sooner? Should I have approached a different way? You know, and I also think, my God, if that guy hadn't have come out from that tree and pointed where that guy was, I'd have ran right by him.
Right.
That guy would have killed me. I wouldn't have even seen him. I would have literally ran right by that car in the driveway. He'd have saw me and probably smoked me. I think about that shit, you know? And there's so much that I see today that reminds me of that incident. I remember the guy was wearing a Kansas City Chiefs hat. I hate the Chiefs. The Bengals play the Chiefs, you know. They've been in they've won 3 Super Bowls in the last like 5-6 years. You know, they're all over TV. Every time I see the Kansas City Chiefs, I think about my incident. Every time I see a pit bull, I think of that incident. Every time I see a woman in her 40s or 50s, a slender woman with dirty blonde hair, I picture a bullet hole in her face and the back of her fucking head blown off. That's what I think about. Every fucking day, that is what I think about. And I can't help it. That is not something that you can just forget. And the crazy thing is, you know, I've seen decapitated people. I've seen people that have literally been decomposing for a month and melted into a carpet, you know. I don't think about that because I wasn't directly involved in it. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't seem real to me. It seems like a movie. You know what I mean?
It's the aftermath of somebody else's decisions.
Exactly. And I think that's why I'm able to overlook a lot of that stuff. But it's different when you're like the cause of something, or, you know, you're directly involved in something that went down, and it's just impossible to shake that. And, you know, it's being reminded of it all the time and constantly think about it. And you know, it's just, it's fucked up, you know, and I don't know how to get that out of my head. You know what I mean?
I hope you liked the video. I'd like to mention that I convinced Mike to open up a GoFundMe page. If anybody wants to help support him, to help pay for his attorney fees and just the financial situation that this has put him in, you can go to the description box. We're going to leave the link. You can go there. You could donate $5. You could donate $100. Anything would help at this point. I think he's got a great story. I think he needs just a little bit of justice, and to get this situation resolved. Please do me a favor and go in the description box and donate something. You know, if you like the video, also please share the video. Please hit the like button. Also, if you'd like to be on the show, go in the description box. We'll have a link there where you can click and you can go and fill out an application and leave a short video. We'll get back with you. Once again, I really do appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video.